Now, with the exodus of entrepreneurs and businesses from Hong Kong, there's been a new surge of interest to open a bank account in Taiwan. And it makes sense. With political unrest and uncertainty on the rise in Hong Kong, many are looking for new and safer banking alternatives in the region. Now, Taiwan isn't your typical tax haven or wealth management hub. In fact, most people overlook it entirely in favor of Singapore, Hong Kong, and even Macau. But for those who are properly structured and understand the benefits, Taiwan can make a lot of sense. Plus, if you desperately need a personal bank account in Asia as a non-resident but are struggling to find a bank that will accept you, Taiwan banking can also be a useful backup option. Assuming, of course, you can physically travel to Taiwan or use one of Taiwan's specific strategies we share with GlobalBanks Insiders. The bottom line is, it's possible to open a bank account in Taiwan for non-residents and foreign companies. Deposit requirements are low, ties to Taiwan aren't always needed, and remote opening is sometimes possible, but only if you choose the right bank, branch, and banker and have the right documents. Even then, there are still Taiwan-specific obstacles you need to be aware of. In this video, we'll explore how to open a bank account in Taiwan, the benefits, the disadvantages, what you need to watch out for, and why some digital nomads, businesses, and entrepreneurs are attracted to Taiwan's banking sector. But before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get alerted every time we post new non-resident banking opportunities. To help you get started with Taiwan bank account opening, we have a free non-resident banking starter guide. It's designed to help non-resident and foreigners open bank accounts. So don't forget to download your copy using the link in the description below. So why open a bank account in Taiwan? Now, while many people view Taiwan's political hostility with China as a risk, it's this testy relationship that has turned Taiwan into a lesser-known banking hub for many Asian investors, wealth owners, and businesses. Thanks to Taiwan's exclusion from various international bodies, Taiwan enjoys relative privacy when it comes to banking. In fact, certain organizations, structures, and individuals have found Taiwan to be a more convenient and welcoming tax haven than traditional Caribbean or Pacific Island nations. So, it's no surprise that today, Taiwan's banking sector offers a few unique traits that literally cannot be found elsewhere. Here are a few benefits that you can access if you decide to open a bank account in Taiwan. Exempt from bad peer reviews since China has blocked Taiwan from joining OECD. Under the radar tax haven because China blocks them from joining international regulatory bodies. Has foreign banks, Taiwanese banks, and some banks from mainland China. It's super easy to get a local ID number, which you need to open a bank account here. In some countries, this can be a costly and time-consuming endeavor, but not in Taiwan. Taiwan has its own form of banking secrecy as outlined in Article 48 of the Taiwan Banking Law, which requires confidentiality of all information unless otherwise provided in law. Taiwanese banks allow banking in RMB through their offshore banking unit, OBU divisions, which can be accessed by offshore companies. OBU accounts do not incur any income tax, corporate value added tax, sales tax, stamp tax, or withholding tax on account holders. OBU accounts also allow for easy cross-border trade without currency restrictions. And those struggling to open accounts elsewhere in Asia in places like China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Macau, or Malaysia might have better luck in Taiwan. So who should open a bank account in Taiwan? As always, certain client profiles will benefit from banking in one country over another, and Taiwan is no exception. When it comes to opening, maintaining, and benefiting from Taiwan bank accounts, those with connections to Taiwan are at the top of the list. However, there are other groups that can also benefit from banking here, including residents who live, work, and study in Taiwan, non-residents who travel to Taiwan frequently, non-residents who can demonstrate a connection to Taiwan, companies doing business in Taiwan, foreign companies with a connection to Taiwan but that operate outside of Taiwan, and offshore companies with a connection to Taiwan that want an offshore business unit account. In all cases, the decision to open a bank account in Taiwan over another jurisdiction should be based on each prospective client's unique requirements and an assessment on whether Taiwan is in fact the best place to bank. This is especially important because depending on the client profile, there are likely easier and better banking jurisdictions available elsewhere in Asia and abroad. How can a foreigner open a bank account in Taiwan? Now, once the decision to open a bank account in Taiwan has been made, there are a few steps that must be taken. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation and confusion over how to actually open a bank account in Taiwan as a foreigner, especially as a foreigner without an ARC, APRC, or visa. Now, many bankers incorrectly tell foreigners that they must have an ARC, Alien Resident Certificate, or an APRC, Long-Term Resident Certificate, to open a bank account in Taiwan. But this isn't true. We'll show you how a foreigner can open a bank account in Taiwan without an ARC and with as few headaches as possible in just a moment. But first, here's the problem. ARCs are difficult to get. In fact, foreigners that don't have a work permit can't even qualify for an ARC. So, if you don't have a job, don't plan on getting residency, and don't have any substantive connection to Taiwan, you probably won't be able to get an ARC or APRC. Like most countries, many people visit Taiwan but never become residents. But there are others who spend long periods of time in Taiwan without ever having a resident or working visa. Those people are never issued numbers and incorrectly believe they can never open a bank account, which simply isn't the case. In this next part, we'll share how a foreigner can open a bank account in Taiwan, open a bank account in Taiwan without an ARC, and discuss some of the unique considerations of banking in Taiwan. How can a foreigner open a bank account in Taiwan without an ARC? To open a bank account in Taiwan without an ARC, you just need to follow the steps I'm about to outline. Doing so will provide the necessary documentation that you need to successfully open an account. Of course, this doesn't mean you know which bank or banker to contact. For that, you'll need to follow closely as I go through each one of the steps. Step 1. Apply for a record ID number in the Republic of China from the National Immigration Office. Step 2. Identify a bank that has the features and functionality that you need. Step 3. Identify a bank branch and a banker willing to accept a foreigner with a record ID number. Now, not all banks will accept this. If you're not careful, this can sometimes be a very time-consuming, frustrating, and costly process. Step 4, take your record ID number, proof of address, local phone number, passport, and cash for initial deposit to the bank. If you can, print out the immigration law that says foreigners with record ID numbers are allowed to open bank accounts, just in case. Step 5, apply for the account in person. To help streamline the process, it's always best to bring a local friend with you to translate if you don't speak Mandarin. Deposit requirements to open a bank account in Taiwan. Many banks in Taiwan have low initial deposit and low minimum balance requirements. Some local banks will allow you to open an account with as little as 1,000 Taiwan dollars, which is about 35 US. This is attractive for those who struggle to meet initial deposit or minimum balance requirements elsewhere. After all, if you can't meet a bank's deposit requirements or maintain a certain balance, you either can't open an account or you're hit with high fees. How to open a business bank account in Taiwan. As is the case for personal accounts, Taiwan isn't just going to work for every business. There are better banks elsewhere, but if you're struggling to open a business bank account in Asia and are desperately in need of a transactional bank account in Asia, Taiwan could be an option. For example, those with foreign companies and who are willing to register a branch or representative office in Taiwan, they might find Taiwanese business banking appealing. Likewise, those with Taiwanese companies or who do business in Taiwan may also find it useful to have a local business bank account. Those with foreign or offshore companies who have a connection to Taiwan and who need transactional banking may also consider opening a business bank account in Taiwan through an offshore banking unit, OBU. This allows the business to freely transact in foreign currencies and removes many restrictions. Obviously, your overall risk profile, business type, transaction activity, and where you can currently open accounts elsewhere outside of Taiwan will ultimately determine whether opening a business bank account in Taiwan makes sense at all. For example, if you have a Hong Kong company that can easily open a bank account in Singapore, you probably don't need to bank in Taiwan. But if you do business in Asia and are struggling to open accounts elsewhere, Taiwan could be a nice backup option. Challenges you'll face if you open a bank account in Taiwan. If you decide to open a bank account in Taiwan as a foreigner, especially without an ARC, it isn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows. It can be time-consuming, frustrating, and require persistence. Here are some of the common problems and challenges that non-residents and foreigners face when opening accounts and banking in Taiwan. Being told you can't open a bank account in Taiwan. Taiwanese bankers love telling foreigners that they first need to obtain an ARC in order to open a bank account in Taiwan. But unless the bank has an internal policy restricting this, it isn't true. If you find yourself dealing with a banker that refuses to accept your record ID number, then it's time to go to another bank or branch until you find someone that is more accommodating. Physical presence usually required and remote opening. The ability to open a bank account in Taiwan remotely is very rare. Unless you already have an account at that bank overseas, your only option will be to apply in person. Transferring money from your Taiwan bank account. Transferring money abroad from Taiwan isn't as easy as other countries. For example, PayPal only works with one bank and TransferWise doesn't work at all. If low-cost international transfers are a must for you, you will likely need to bank with one of the large international banks. But doing so comes with a high minimum deposit requirement. Debit card functionality. In Taiwan, many of the functions that you would expect to automatically come with a debit card will not work until the account holder requests to have the bank enable them. Many foreigners find this out the hard way. They're issued debit cards, assume they have full functionality, and then are completely surprised when simple purchases cannot be completed because the bank failed to turn them on when the card was issued. So make sure you confirm the functionality before leaving the bank. Additionally, before traveling outside of Taiwan, make sure that your debit card can also be used internationally. Also, make sure to set up a 4-digit magnetic stripe PIN number on your card before leaving the country. Taiwan changed over to the smart chip system years ago, but not all banks have debit cards with the magnet strip. And the magnetic strip functionality must be turned on in order for the card to be used outside of Taiwan. Alternatively, the bank will issue an entirely new ATM card with the correct functionality. Both options can take up to 5 business days, so be sure to do this before leaving the country. Online banking isn't always seamless. After setting up your account, an extra step is required to set up online banking. So make sure to confirm the details before leaving the bank. Additionally, not all Taiwanese banks offer online banking in English. So if you're navigating Taiwanese banking on your own, check out the websites and apps of each bank's online banking platform to confirm the language options before opening an account. There are other quirks and glitches to be aware of. For instance, we recently came across one Taiwanese bank that wouldn't let EU passport holders use internet banking. Ready to open a bank account in Taiwan? Well, to start opening accounts today, you can obviously use the information that I've shared in this video. Or you can access one of our account opening services and start taking action today. Each of our premium services are designed to help non-resident individuals, foreigners, and their businesses open international bank accounts. Whether you need personal, private, business, offshore, or even US banking, we have an account opening solution that will work for you. You can get started with GlobalBanks IQ, our international banking intelligence service. It gives you step-by-step instructions on all the tools you need to find and open accounts with top banks around the world. Plus, you'll unlock our international intelligence reports, account opening strategies, international bank database, and much more. We also have a dedicated US account opening service called GlobalBanks USA, which is 100% focused on helping non-residents, foreigners, and even foreign and offshore companies open bank accounts in the US. It involves direct one-on-one support from our team of experts and includes access to our US banking intelligence reports, US account opening strategies, and US bank database. And of course, there's our flagship service, GlobalBanks Insider. With GlobalBanks Insider, you'll get access to everything we offer, including all the benefits in GlobalBanks IQ and GlobalBanks USA, plus our entire library of premium reports, the entire GlobalBanks database, and dedicated one-on-one support from our team of international banking experts to help you find and open the accounts you need. So, no matter where you're looking to bank in the world, you're only a few clicks away from finding and opening international accounts. To get started, just click the link in the description below to learn more about the available options. And before signing off, don't forget to subscribe so you get alerted every time we share new banking opportunities. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.